Guys and girls, you know what, guys and girls, Frank, Joe, I've had enough of this. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'd reserved judgment on all things Las Vegas Grand Prix. I didn't want to be the grey beard dude out here doing the naysayer thing, but yet again, I'm going to have to give myself a pat on the back. This is nonsense. Too much circus and not enough circuit. As of this morning in FP1, we got about 8 minutes worth of running time, didn't we? And then they had to bloody cancel it because of safety concerns. Carlos Sainz goes over a manhole and the valve cover, the water valve cover, explodes underneath his car. What are we doing? This is an absolute joke, peddlers. Is this not the upper echelons of motorsport? This is meant to be the best of the best of what motorsport has to offer. And yet here we are again talking about more nonsense at the hands of the FIA. They need to sort this out. This is a joke, an absolute joke, Polish. An absolute joke. I didn't even intend to come on here, man. I wanted to do a nicely edited video talking about the ups and the downs of it. And I just thought, you know what, Walter? I just thought I've had enough. I've got to come on here and we've got to rant yet again because the FIA have fumbled the bag. We talked about this, right? Max Verstappen has talked about this. 1% show, 1% racing, 99% show. I thought Max was being a bit harsh, you know? I thought he was being a bit of a grumpert, a bit of a Debbie Downer. This is Las Vegas after all. You saw these guys talk about it on F1 TV. It's a movement, a feeling, a vibe even. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. They were getting on board. You heard Buxton. They were giving it the big one. Yeah, F1 have injected circa 500 million in this. They are the promoter. This is different, anomalous, different to any other circuit on the F1 calendar in 2023. And we all started to buy in, but they haven't even done their due diligence around the track. Go and listen to the interviews, the press conferences that the bloody TPs were holding. Toto Wolff lost his mind, didn't he? He is great. I get to Toto in short order. But, you know, a couple important things came out of that press conference. First and foremost, context is key, Cameron. Let's set the table. This isn't the first time this has happened, by the way, at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. There are other circuits around which there have been issues with drainage, not least 2019 Baku. Qatar, we had issues around the bloody curbing, didn't we? Monaco, there has been issues around drainage also. So let's not pretend like this is the first time this has ever happened, because it is not. It has happened before and it will happen again. Here's the issue though. It looks worse for Las Vegas because of the glitz and glam, because of all that's been invested around the bluster, around being able to get married at the track, around all of the spectacle, around having an opening ceremony with Kylie Minogue performing. There has been lots invested around this. And yet again, it looks like the FIA have gotten their priorities wrong. Too much investment around the show and the spectacle, not enough around the due diligence, safeguarding for these drivers. What happened with Carlos Sainz in FP1 could have been catastrophic, peddlers. It could have been. Ultimately, it ended up and it was fine, cool. Let's not focus on the outcomes, however, and let's focus on the processes, because that's what any institution that's meant to be safeguarding the upper echelon series of motorsport should be doing. Due diligence, safeguarding, robust processes. That should be the bread and butter of any institution worth its metal, responsible for safeguarding, surely. Maybe I've got it wrong. So Carlos Sainz could have been injured seriously from that. Okay, so the worst, the best case scenario is what we're dealing with, that there is some damage to that car, to the chassis. Could have been a lot bloody worse. And FI keeps doing this over and over again, rolling the dice, and then finds itself getting lucky. They've gotten lucky again here. But you know what? It looks really, really bad. And the interviewers, the guys who are pitching the questions at the team principals, at the team principal press conference, had it absolutely on the money. Now, this is a humongous black eye for F1 at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, a Grand Prix at which they are the promoter. They're meant to be nailing this. Who else is meant to nail safeguarding, safety, bloody doing due diligence around the track before the cars go out in anger at FP1 than F1 themselves, surely? Lest we not forget, peddlers, as we approach. I mean, they're going to do FP2 in a minute, aren't they? Or reopen FP1. Who knows what's going on with the logistics and the calendar now? They've got 50 minutes to go with FP1. Maybe they do it again. 10 a.m. So T minus 30 minutes, they're going to be doing another session. I don't know which one it is. Who knows? Who cares even at this point? Because it's such a bloody joke. The Las Vegas Grand Prix, eh? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, they say. But it is important to remember for context, this isn't the first time. I don't want to come down like a ton of bricks on the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I really don't. But it's tough because once again, I will reiterate for the avoidance of doubt, it looks like they've misprioritized. They've over-invested in the glitz, the glam, the spectacle. They are underweight, underinvested in the things that matter: due diligence, processes, safety, and safeguarding for the drivers. Because if it were different, if it were any different from what I've just asserted, then you wouldn't have the bloody water valve around the manhole bloody flicking up. It's a ground effect here. You have to know for these things. You have to test for them in advance, lest we forget not too long ago, you couldn't just do FP1 without having a feeder formula run in the track before. This was mandatory. Why get rid of those rules and have these dodgy things keep happening? All right, listen, peddlers. I don't know. I didn't want to rant on here, you know, peddlers. I didn't want to, Christopher, Polish, Walther. I desperately didn't want to. But watching back all this footage, I'm like, what are we doing here again? Why does this keep happening to us? Are they taking it? Do they think we're idiots? Do they think we're idiots? Clearly they do, right? Because they're trying to put this opaque stuff so that people on the bridge can't view the Grand Prix, so that people are going to have to still pay in excess of $1,000 just for a general admission ticket. They're taking us for mugs. And I don't think it's acceptable, Betters, I'll be honest with you. It's just, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Even though it has happened before, per Bert Nylander even. I can't even get out my words, but look at me struggling. I'm affected. I'm upset by this. Bert Nylander DTM. It's happened before a gazillion times. Qatar curbs, Baku 2019. But this feels really, really bad because they've invested so much bloody money in it. Only 24 hours prior, we were watching an opening ceremony. An opening ceremony, by the way, that has hindered, impacted, infringed upon the amount of time that these guys had to nail and test and do due diligence for safety and robust processes at this track. I can't even talk, so angry am I. Oh, and by the way, Tuesday they were meant to sign off this track for safety. Didn't do it. That got delayed. Wednesday was the sign off. Hold on. Wednesday, let me just confirm this. Let me play this back to you and tell me if you fact check me on this, peddlers, and tell me if I'm talking nonsense. We're racing the Thursday. You've brought the schedule forward and the track doesn't even get signed off until the day before. What? Any fool, you don't need to be a process management PhD to see that there is something wrong with that process flow. That's too late. You want to be signing off the track a couple weeks before, at least a couple months if possible. So then you can account for all these anomalies and, oh, okay, look, there is a valve that needs fixing. We need to go around and put some more cement. You can account for these things and you give yourself some margin, some wiggle room. If not, if you're doing it last minute, the week of the bloody Grand Prix, then these things are always bound to happen. Thank God that nobody was seriously injured. How are they going to fix for this? By the way, 40 manholes on this track and we're opening up for racing now. In about 30 minutes time, you can see it. Listen, I'm not going to go through it. I'm not pulling up slides today because I'm too fuming. I've lost my mind. It's far too early in the morning. I am fuming. But look, you guys can go onto it and see how they're trying to fix them. They're not welding them in. They're putting like concrete and cement down, which of course will take time to solidify. This all feels like it's a bit last minute Larry for me. But again, what at this point would you expect from the FIA if not last minute Larry activities? Never front load, never plan, never completely robust. It's always like it's always a bit fugazi and a bit and a bit always. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke, guys. And Max was right, wasn't he? Almology. Max was right. 1% racing, 99% showed there was no substance underneath the bluster, because if there had been, they would have fixed for these things. Test for them, test and learn. Right, this is common project methodology. Don't just get to the day and then you're testing it for the first time. There's always going to be funnies. Test in real time. Test and learn in real time. Front load these anomalies, but no, not the FIA. They are incapable and they are incompetent. And at this point, peddlers, we should expect nothing less, eh? We should expect nothing less. But I digress. The Las Vegas Grand Prix. Peddlers, that's all that I've got to say, really. I'm going to go and watch a free practice session. Let me have a look at some of your comments very quickly. NASA, safety car race would cause more issues due to even colder time. So I'm not even going to get into depending on who you talk to, this cold. Here's what I think, peddlers. I think the issue around the cold temperatures, I think it's potentially going to be overdone. And a lot of people have made a big deal about it, but Will Buxton and bloody Lawrence Pareto and all of those guys who are in situ are saying it's probably not going to be as cold as anticipated. It will cause an issue still, but probably not as big an issue as first thought. I don't think temperatures are as cold as we'd forecast. So I don't think that's going to be a big... Oh, James, there'll absolutely be safety cars. They ain't get it twisted. Let me not over-reg. There will absolutely be safety cars. Just to the nature of the track, right? Cold temperatures will still be an issue. Probably not as big an issue as we first thought. But it's a brand new track, right? This is every single driver is going to have to be dealing with what Oscar Piastri has had to deal with for the whole season, right? Brand new track. The only experience that you've got of it is on the sim. That's difficult. Sim technology is absolutely getting better, advancing by the day. I mean, it's not perfect, right? You're always going to get out the track and see something different. Per Fernando Alonso, who so expertly dodged the water valve, didn't he? What an absolute legend. Over the past couple of weeks, Fernando Alonso, as if I didn't rate him before, but he's gone up massively in my estimation. What will happen if the water drain burst? How are they going to... Frank, I don't know. This is why you front load these things and do them weeks, if not months before race weekend. And again, I'm baffled. I don't know. And then we turn on our TV and see the internationally syndicated broadcast telling us about... Yeah, this is the greatest spectacle. This is going to be the most watched sporting event of 2023, the greatest F1 race of all time. Like, pull the other one. Behave. What are you? That's all well and good. If you want to sell us that story, then you've got to sacrifice your integrity at the altar of the burst water valve or whatever. It's just, we can't square the two. It's dodgy, but I digress. FP2 is, so there was a free practice session. There was only 10 minutes of the previous free practice session done, right, completed. So I just understood from what Simon Lazenby just said is that they're going to reopen that one and do the remaining 50 minutes in T-minus 23 minutes. So we get a free practice session in T-minus 23. It will be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I feel like I've been sold a dream in the Las Vegas Grand Prix that doesn't have substance. There is a mismatch of expectations. We reserved our judgment initially when we saw the opening ceremony, but little did we know at that stage that the opening ceremony was eating into the time requisite to make this track safe to race upon. It's ridiculous, Peddlers. I'm going. I've had enough ranting from me. It is chaos, though. It is chaos, and I think it's worth talking to. I was going to put together a nice, sexy, edited video, but sometimes you've got to rap to it in real time, right? Freestyle, just so that you feel, so that I can convey the extent of my disappointment. And I am disappointed, and I am angry as an F1 fan that the FIA keep doing this. Keeps happening, and it keeps happening far too often. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last, but because it's Las Vegas, and because they've pitched us this dream, a circuit, a Grand Prix, apparently commensurate of £2,000 worth of tickets for general admission. Because of that, because of the context, it feels worse, doesn't it? It does. Long Island, look at that, Walter. You're not even a million miles away. It's a couple hours flight, eh? So yeah, I don't know. I will leave it there, Peddlers. Apologies for ranting, but sometimes the FIA leave me with no option. Just when I thought I was out, the FIA pull me back in. It's been a chaos worth of a first practice session, and here's hoping. Here's hoping that the remaining sessions aren't as chaotic. Finally, Peddlers, I will leave you with this. Go and watch the TP press conference. Absolute chaos. Toto Wolff completely loses his marbles. The question was put to him, don't you think, Toto, that this manhole shenanigans leaves the sport with a black eye, in brackets, particularly given the fact that F1 is the promoter. This is the only Grand Prix on the calendar in 2023 that F1 is the promoter for. Does this not, Toto Wolff, leave the sport with a black eye? The fact that in free practice 1, there is a manhole issue, a water valve issue around the manhole that springs up into the underbelly of Carlos Sainz Jr.'s car. Does this not leave a black eye in the sport? An interviewer asked Toto Wolff, to which the man from Austria, Toto Wolff, Mercedes-Benz team principal, responds in anger. How can it leave a black eye? Do you have anything good to say about the sport? We've done all this work. Liberty have done some fantastic work. Don't judge us on what happened today. Judge us on what happens at the checkered flag on Saturday or Sunday, depending where in the world you are watching this from. I say that only semi with tongue in cheek. Toto, what are you on about, mate? Of course this is a black eye. Of course this is a black eye in the sport. A massive scandal of viral proportions. This was meant to be the Grand Prix. This Grand Prix was meant to be the one that went viral, that brought new eyes into the sport. People are watching in real time at the Grand Prix, seeing all these sparks flying up from Carlos Sainz's car, saying, WTF is that? What's gone on there? Is that supposed to happen? I know it's ground effect era and there are sparks kicking up off the back of these cars sometimes, but that looked a bit sparky to me. People don't know what's going on. Having to check in on Twitter and follow the likes of Chris Medland and all these, Albert Fabregas, Toby Gruer. What happened? I don't know. Of course, this is a black eye, Toto. Well, just because you've been taking red eyes and haven't got any sleep, don't take it out on the interviewer for asking the questions that matter. Of course, this is a black eye in the sport. This is daft nonsense. Nobody knows what's going on. And it feels like, and again, I will leave you in this final point here. It feels like it's made worse, that the waters are made even more muddy by the fact that opening ceremony took so long, infringing upon the time that they could have used to check and fix, by the way, for these kind of anomalies. It's nonsense. Again, in the words of the pseudo invincible Max Verstappen, too much circus, not enough circuit. 1% racing, 99% show, and that's a problem, peddlers. That is a problem. Even if you look at these things through the lens of Liberty Media, who are trying to grow the sport exponentially in North America, who are so desperate to captivate a new audience, who really want new eyes on this sport and to keep them in this sport dialed in. I get it. I understand it. But listen, sometimes you got to know your processes, man. Yeah, hit the like, Frank. Appreciate each and every single of you watching ad infinitum. Do me a favor and smash the like. I'll go for another 5 minutes and then I'm running away and going to watch a free practice because I'm keen to see what's going to happen now. There is a morbid curiosity in all this. It feels like hashtag chaos, doesn't it? What do you do? Like the FIA, did they even know what they're doing? Is this going to happen again? What's going to happen to Carlos Sainz's car? Are the FIA or F1, the commercial rights holder, going to compensate Ferrari for the damages? Well, what's going to happen there? Carlos Sainz isn't going to be able to run in FP2. The chassis is like terminally damaged. They'll be lucky to get any running out of him at all race weekend, or because the FIA, the commercial rights holder, haven't done their due diligence. And I just think that's a shame, peddlers. It's upsetting. It's upsetting. We don't all pay our Sky subscriptions to watch this sport every single weekend. What have we done to deserve it? What has Carlos Sainz and Freddie Vasseur done to deserve this? It's chaos. It is chaos. You know what, Polish? You make a good point on Tom Clarkson. I really like Tom as an interviewer. Tom Clarkson, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who pitches the questions in the pre and post session press conferences with the team principals and the drivers. Tom, however, Polish, a brilliant point, man, that I should have raised before. Tom, however, this time, He misses the mark. Let me just adjust my camera, man, while this... Tom misses the mark, doesn't he? So, here's what happens. And great shout there, Polish. Tom pitches a couple of questions at Frederick Vasseur, who's having to deal... He's spinning plates here. He's having to deal with many different problems, most noteworthy of which is the fact that Carlos Sainz, one of his driver's cars, potentially is out of the running through no fault of his own. This isn't reliability at the hands of Scuderia Ferrari. This is because the track was falling apart underneath Carlos Sainz, not before the session, but whilst they were out. So Tom Clarkson, the genius. And again, I want to give Tom Clarkson some credit here because normally he's the guy who asks the proper questions. He gets first dibs at the team principals and the drivers during their press conferences. And I don't hate Tom. In fact, I rate Tom 99% of the time, Polish. But here's where Tom drops the ball. Frederick, talk to me about what happened. What's going on with the car? What's going on with Carlos? Are you going to be able to get him ready in time? Him and the car in time for the next session? Frederick's like, mate, listen, this is crazy. We're talking about opening ceremonies and stuff, and we don't have a car because the bloody track's breaking up underneath us. That's not acceptable. I think that's a Frederick Vasseur, Scuderia Ferrari team principal, starts cursing, doesn't he? F-bombing and fair play to him. He's got every right to be fuming. I mean, it's the end of the season and they're all super tired and they've come to this Grand Prix and the track is literally breaking underneath the cars. That accident could have been really, really bad. Serious injury type accidents. Who knows? I mean, maybe the piece flies off into the bloody person. I think it was Zhou Guanyu, wasn't it? The person following Carla. Who knows? You just don't know with these type of things. That's why it's so important that the FIA handle very robustly in a fashion that's holistic and complete all of their safety due diligence. All of their safety due diligences crossed the T's and dot the I's, surely, which is why Tom Clarkson's next question, after Frederick Vasseur's reacted in anger to his first, was very tone deaf. Talk to us, Frederick Vasseur, after Carlos Sainz potentially out for the rest of the sessions, after the track's broken up underneath you and potentially damaged your car in a manner that is terminal. Frederick, talk to us about the show. How good is this Las Vegas Grand Prix? Pull the other one, Tom Clarkson. You don't ask that question. That can't be your follow-up question. Frederick Vasseur's made it very clear that I don't want to talk about that, mate. I've got a draw. I don't even want to be at the prep. You could tell Frederick Vasseur is a joker, isn't he? Right, normally very cordial and very jovial, but he sat there and he's like, I don't want to be fielding these questions right now. What I'm concerned with is my driver and my driver's car and getting him out, ensuring that we do everything possible to get him out for the next session. You want to talk to me, ask me some questions about the FIA and the track, and let's talk about robust processes and safety due diligence, lack thereof for both of those items. Let's talk about that, Frederick, so you could see it in his body language. Tom Clarkson didn't want to be asking him about, wow, how brilliant is this Las Vegas Grand Prix as a spectacle? As a spectacle, Frederick Vasseur, behave yourself, Tom Clarkson. What are you talking about? Not now. There is a time and a place for those propaganda-esque questions, Tom Clarkson. And now, after what's just happened in FP1, 8 minutes to Frederick Vasseur's Scuderia Ferrari and his driver, Carlos Sainz, now is not the time, Tom, sadly. He's massively missed the mark there. But you know what? Nobody bats 1,000, man. Clearly, he's paymasters in Liberty Media and the commercial rights holder for Formula One. That was a question that they wanted. It's an agenda that they're peddling. That was a question that he was a mandatory question, I think, that Tom Clarkson had been asked to ask. This is the best. I mean, greatest city in the world, Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, doesn't it? What are we doing here? It's a joke. It is a joke. Anyway, Padders, we've got a practice session to watch. Sewage cover. Lucky. Oh my gosh. Gentile killer. You guys are killing me in the comments. It is bonkers. Oh, they can't give him a grid penalty. NASA. And people are joking on Twitter about excessive wear on the skid block. It's a joke. It is a joke. Anyway, Pedders, we've got a session to go and watch. T-minus 10 minutes. I hope you all enjoy it. I said it on the previous stream, right? I hope all these drivers, very Nostradamus-esque from Cameron there. I hope all these drivers, ultimately, for all the glitz and glam and the fact that we want to see a race, a good race at that that's competitive, the priority here is that all these drivers get home safe and sound. I don't want to see the track just chewing itself up. I want the curbs to stay in place. I want the drain covers to stay in place and the water valves accordingly. I don't want it to see this. It's enough, peddlers. I've had enough of this. FIA, pull your fingers out, because one day, bear in mind, one day, listen, F1 is a very dangerous sport, and the more that the safeguarders of this sport, the more frequently they drop the ball, the more that the risk of one of these drivers not going home at the end of a race weekend increases exponentially. And I don't want that, and you don't want that. And Ringo here definitely doesn't want that. Right, guys, I'm going. I've had enough. That's enough of ranting. Again, this was meant to be a very sexily edited video, but sometimes to convey the message, it's best that you come in here live and do a bit of back and forth. Oh, James, I appreciate you, sir. That's far too kind, man. You guys keep me going. Listen, I keep overthinking the direction of this channel, whether what the apex predator is, what the line of least resistance is, and listen, I continue to have these thoughts go through my mind on a daily basis. But listen, we've got a community here, and I want us to be able to come here and rant sometimes and back and forth and disagree and enter into modes of discourse, and you guys are going to correct me and tell me where I've mispronounced the word or where I haven't got my facts or my numbers or my dates correct. This is going to happen, right? We're going to disagree, but all told, it's always going to be healthy on here. I cannot do the toxicity of an F1 Twitter. I will just sack it off. I will hang up my Nomex and put down my mic if it becomes that. But I digress, peddlers. We've got a free practice session to go and watch in T-minus 8 minutes. I will leave you to enjoy the rest of what hopefully will be a safe and what's the word that I'm looking for? A safe and edifying race weekend, or at least one that we can engage in an edifying, constructive way. It's going to be chaos, isn't it? I will leave it there, peddlers. Listen, between now and next time, look, but never stare. Peace.